You're listening to the Deep Purple Podcast, a fan podcast about one of the most legendary bands of all time, Deep Purple. We take a look at the music, history, and people behind the band Deep Purple and beyond. Welcome to the Deep Purple Podcast, the first and only podcast devoted to one of the greatest bands in rock history, Deep Purple. Today's episode is episode number 87, Roger Glover, Mask. And coming to you from the masked suburbs of Chicago, I'm your host, Nathan Beaudry.
And coming to you from the suburbs of Providence, your co-host, John Chubbs Matola.
Chubbs. What does Chubbs mean?
Really, whether it's with like 3 people or 30 people, aren't we all going to get fat on Thanksgiving?
Oh, there you go. We're still, in fact, there's more to eat because there's fewer people to, I don't know about you, but I'm making a whole turkey for 2 adults and 3 kids who won't eat much of it. So
you see, that's the thing, right? Is like anybody that I've talked to is like, even when they're cutting the recipes down for decreased gatherings, they can't cut it down to the point of there not being leftovers.
Of course not. Yeah, we want to have turkey,
like even
turkey soup,
right? Exactly.
Turkey pot pie. Of course.
Well, like
by the time you hear this, it's like 3 weeks after Thanksgiving.
Right. This is everybody's going to see how just horribly behind we are. But
that being said,
necessity.
Same for Christmas, right? We're gonna have a nice spread for just a small little get together, and we're gonna have a lot of leftovers. But that's good. Leftovers are good.
I would even talk. Well, because everybody tries to pare down a little bit, like, especially my family, Italian family, is just like, no, this year we're not gonna have a lot of, and then it's just like to leftovers for like 6 weeks. But it's talking to my mother is just preparing.
We're not gonna do a lot of gifts. And then it's like, nobody listens to
right. Yeah, and then gifts and like the spilling into the second, third room of the house. But like I was talking to my mother about, and she's like, "Oh, what should I make?" And and I'm just like, make this, make that. She's just like, "Well, I'm gonna get like the smallest turkey I can get is like a 6-pound turkey." That's still pretty freaking big for like 2-3 people.
Turkey? I didn't think they had turkeys that small.
It was online, so it's like it's one of those like between 6 and whatever, so it's like it'll probably be the whatever,
between
heavier.
6 and 14 pounds.
It'll be like 14.
It's 13 and a half pounds.
Do the turkey. Do a turkey breast,
Yeah.
13. Yeah, but even like small, like even if you do like an 8x8 pan of like sweet potatoes or something, which is like the smallest thing that I can think of, it's like it's still,
that's a lot for
quite a few servings for just a few people. Exactly. But hey, you got to do what you got to do. It's like we're all going to be fat and miserable. We're all going to be fat and miserable. Let's just accept it.
Well, know who's not fat or miserable? Our wonderful patrons that support the show. If you like what you're hearing, you can also help support the show. If you're getting some value out of the show, if you're digging what you hear and you want to help support the show and get more episodes out there, please become a patron on Patreon or on PayPal. For as little as $1 a month, you can help us support the show, pay for costs, get us new albums and posters, get us our t-shirts made, which should be coming out soon if they're not already out by the time this gets out there. I do have mugs. I have a tracking number for mugs. They're on the way, so we're gonna have some nice Deep Purple mugs any day now, so I'm excited about that. Actually, I think they're coming tomorrow, so I'll be sure to shoot you over a picture when I get them and probably post it on Twitter. So if you want to help support the show like these wonderful people, here's a few ways you can do it. The $25 Super Trooper tier, dominated by one Steve Seaborg, nameonanything.com and alltheworldsastage.net, who is making our mugs and shirts and everything with his wonderful business that he has. Nameonanything.com does mean anything. He's got a catalog on there that will knock your socks off. Basically anything you can think of, we could have the Deep Purple logo on. So go browse nameonanything.com. If something you see that you really like, let us know and maybe we'll produce it and sell it. Make an Etsy shop or something. I don't know. I don't even know how we're gonna get the t-shirts out there. I've got them ordered. They come in. I'm gonna be like, oh crap. Now what do I do? I don't even know what
You're
I'm
gonna
doing.
be stuck with like 100 T-shirts.
Exactly. I'll just maybe people want them. I just don't know how to get them out to people. At the $20 Shades of Deep Pockets tier.
Send them to me, and I'll send them out to people.
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
You
Well, yeah,
mail
I'll
them
do
to
that.
me, and then I'll mail them out to everyone else.
Yeah, that sounds like the best use of our money. You can do procurement. At the $20 Shades of Deep Pockets tier, we have Ryan M. The $15 Highball Shooter tier, Alan Ain't Too Proud to Beg. At the Turn It Up to $11 tier, we have Frank Thielgard Mortensen, Clay Wambacher, and Mikkel Steen. Mikkel, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. The $10 Someone Came tier, Gerald Kelly. The episode $6.66 tier, Richard Fusey via PayPal. At the $5.99 nice price tier, Fielding Fowler. The $5 money lender tier, we have Greg Sealby, John Convery, Arthur Smith, German Heindel, Adrian Hernandez, and Kenny Wymore. At the $3 Nobody's Perfect tier, Peter Gardot, Ian DeRosier, Mark Roback, Anton Glaving, Will Porter, and Andrew Meyer. And at the $1 made-up name tier, Els Murders, Spacey Noodles, The Grim Leaky Mausoleum, Michael Vader, and Stephen Somerville, the Concerto 1999 fanatic. Thank you to all of you for your continued support. And also thanks to our brothers at the Deep Dive Podcast Network. We've got Riot, Sabbath Bloody Podcast, The Simple Man at Skinner Reconsidered, Terry, T-Bone Mathley at T-Bone's Prime Cuts. We have Paul, David, and Joe at the In Lap of the Pods podcast, who I think Ryan, his most recent episode, said Paul, David, Joe, Mary, Thomas, Joseph, listed a bunch of other biblical names.
Yeah.
And then Scott at the Magicians Podcast, the Uriah Heep podcast. Oh, I said it kind of like Scott. Welcome to the Magicians Podcast. I said it with his same, almost his same level of enthusiasm.
I know he's so excited when he does the intro. I love it.
I know, yeah. No, I feel like we got to update our
almost
intro.
As excited as you.
Our intro. I know. I was really upping it today to make up for the fact that we both had crappy days. So we're trying to shake that off and just move on with the episode. I did get a very interesting email just yesterday, I believe. Yeah, I think it was yesterday. So this email, I'll take some selections from it. It says, "Good morning, Nathan and John. Firstly, I'm 62 years old and I've never been on Facebook, Twitter, or any social media site, so it's quite a leap for me to contact you. I was prompted to do so after the last couple of your podcasts, during which you mentioned the lack of recent reviews on Apple Podcasts. I posted one on the 19th of October and noticed another fan named Well Disguised had also posted a review recently. In any case, I gave a very positive review as I've enjoyed your podcast tremendously during this difficult period. I first became seriously interested in the music of Deep Purple and a lot of other bands at the relatively late age of 15 in 1973. Your reviews and discussion of all the old stuff I used to listen to have renewed my enjoyment of this great music. Personally, I prefer the Mark II version, but I also rate Burn as the equal of anything that Gillan Glover era produced. Sorry, but I think Stormbringer is Burn's evil twin. I know you like this album a lot, but I remember the disappointment I felt when I first heard it after listening in late 1974. Your podcasts have really been one of the few positives for me this year, as I've gone back to the start and listened to almost every episode. Growing up in a working class area of Glasgow in the early mid-70s was not always great, and whilst as a kid we weren't exactly forced to work up chimneys, we weren't rich either. Sports and music were really important. I know that I was really lucky to live through a time when a huge amount of creative music was being released. For me, it was all rock music and defined by genres in the way that has been for many years. So it was easy to like diverse music by Deep Purple, Genesis, Pink Floyd, Free, Bad Company, Jethro Tull, etc. It was great music. Wanted to let you know how much enjoyment I've taken from the Deep Purple podcast. I really like listening to you guys go off on tangents. You're obviously longtime friends, and it's nice to hear you talk of your shared experience in Providence, Rhode Island. I was watching a Chris show recently on TV, and one of the questions concerned a Providence tourist information film in 2016, which had to be withdrawn because it showed footage of landscape in Iceland instead of Providence. That made me laugh. Please keep up the great work and stay safe. All the best. Robert Old Bloodsucker Bob Smith from Glasgow, Scotland. Thank you, Robert.
Nice.
Do you remember that tourist video that he's talking about?
I don't know. I feel like I might. Do we ever talk about it, or?
I remember my parents sending me a video of it. Yeah, it's basically like it's like, I'll put a link in the show notes, but yeah, it's basically like they're showing all this footage of, like, you know, the Providence Place Mall and water fire, and, you know, downtown with the gondolas, and what else did they have?
Yeah.
Like the Roger Williams Zoo, and then all of a sudden there's just some like footage of like an egret in Iceland. I remember seeing it and being like, I'm not really.
Bizarre.
You probably almost would have missed it, but I was just like, huh, that one clip looked a little off. Yeah, it's pretty funny, but yeah, thanks so much, Robert.
I don't
That's
know. I feel like that's something that, yeah, I feel like that's something that they throw in there for people like me. Like I probably would have missed it. I would have been like, oh yeah, egret.
I think it was like that, or whatever it was. It was a bird I don't remember ever seeing growing up. Um, for all I know, maybe
Yeah,
that
that
was
was
Rhode
really
Island. It was a different
it was-
part of the video that was from Iceland. I don't remember. So yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah, that was great. Yeah.
this week we are talking about Roger Glover's album Mask, or as some people call it, The Mask, and even the CD itself, which, do I have it over here? Oh yeah, here it is. So I have the copy that we've talked about before in our Elements episode, which was Elements in the Mask. And as we also discussed, this CD is selling for like $125 because it's a collectible. But yeah, it had Elements on it, and then Mask all jammed onto one CD, as they love to do in the 90s. And this yeah, so that's it right there. It was kind of a joint thing with both albums, like I said, crammed on there together. And like we've talked about with David Coverdale albums jammed onto the same album, we didn't really know where one ended and one began. Although listening to this, you were definitely listening to it and then be like, whoa, that took a weird turn. Because Roger Glover's albums tend to be very different, and Elements especially was a very experimental album, a lot of instrumental stuff, really long songs, and then boom, it turns into this like poppy mid 80s thing. So it definitely it jumps out at you for sure. Do you remember like you had the same one, right? Or you still do?
Yeah, yeah, I remember getting that. But honestly, I don't know how much of it I listened to. I mean, I know I say that about a lot of these, like, oh, I probably won't remember it. And then we put it on. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that. But I I really feel like I was expecting at the time for his solo stuff to sound like the Butterfly Ball.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I was like, as soon as I heard it, I'm just like, nope. And I don't even know if I listened to half of it. So again, ridiculous teenager. But but yeah, I did buy it, because back then you rolled the dice, and if you got something you didn't like, you were stuck with it pretty
Well,
much.
if nothing else, it was a good investment. You could sell it for $125 now. But it's
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, I think I'll keep it.
I think I remember the same kind of feeling, which was I really didn't know where it was going, and listening to the first part and not really knowing where the separation was between the two albums when you're listening to it, unless you're staring at your CD player and looking at the track listing. Um, I remember Elements like digging it, but it was never like obviously got the play that we gave the Butterfly Ball. Like I listened to it a good number of times, but then kind of tucked it away and didn't listen to it for a while. And my
Right.
memory going back a couple years, maybe before we started the show, was that I really liked Elements. The Mask I was maybe not so hot on. And I generally, um, back in that time period too, I was not a fan of really anything from the 80s. Like well, there were some things that I like from the
Yeah.
80s, like I like some of the metal and stuff, but like that kind of 80s production and stuff really kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And in like the last like 20-25 years, I've really grown to appreciate that sort of stuff. Like Hughes Thrall is a great example, and like Mask kind of reminds me of that style of music, which is like it's 80s, it's poppy. And to me, when I listened to this again more recently, I had a much more newfound respect for the Mask parts of it, and thinking that they were just, to me, first thing popped in my head was like, oh, this is like Roger Glover doing Duran Duran. Like that was kind of how my mind made it. And I mean that in a complimentary way. I like Duran Duran. But yeah, like I talked about on the thing, they don't even know what it's called. It says The Mask on this cover right here, but when you open it up and see the actual album cover, it just says Mask. So they the connoisseur collection, I guess I put this together, wasn't really sure what it's called, but throughout the liner notes they refer to it as The Mask. So I don't know what to tell you. But basically, Roger Glover had been very busy in the late 70s, early 80s with Rainbow, producing Rainbow, being in Rainbow, and didn't have much time for anything else. But in 1983, he found himself getting some studio time, and that's when he worked on Mask and got it out. So this album came out in June of 1984, which is just a little bit before Perfect Strangers came out. So they put some pretty heavy promotion behind it. They have the title track Mask got some airplay, but being launched a few months ahead of Perfect Strangers, it kind of just completely got lost in the shuffle and didn't do much after that. So it's even in Deep Purple circles, it's not necessarily the most well-known album, but definitely an interesting piece of history. And this is, you're looking at basically what he worked on directly before uh, going into Perfect Strangers and getting that album out. So pretty good cast of characters on this album. We've got obviously Roger Glover doing bass guitar, lead vocals, and other instruments. David Gellis, I think I'm pronouncing that right, on guitar. He did some work with Meatloaf. Joe Jammer on guitar, which is, come on, that's a great name, Joe Jammer.
Love it.
He was on guitar as well. He was a prolific session musician. He worked with Martha Velez, Jimmy Witherspoon, and toured with Maggie Bell, who we've discussed before as being one of the prolific backup singers of the time. On keyboards, we haven't talked about him on the show yet, but we will be talking about him again, and that's David Rosenthal, who was the keyboardist, the I guess you could say the final keyboardist with Rainbow before they disbanded and then got back together. Played with Rainbow, Billy Joel, Steve Vai, Yingwei, and Whitesnake even. And then Gene Rossell on keyboards. He played with a group called Hanson, and not the three brothers Hanson. Obviously, he's not one of the Hanson brothers doing an album in 1984 when he was like -2 years old or however old those guys are. But yeah, he played with another group called Hanson, the precursor to the maybe more well-known Hanson. On drums, Chuck Berge. Is it Berge or Berge? Do you know? I think it's Berge, right?
I don't know. No, I feel like we talked about this before and I can't remember.
No, that's Bobby
Berge.
Burge. That's Bobby Burge is actually Berge, but I don't know. Wouldn't it be great if it was actually Chuck Burge, like balanced out? So everyone calls Bobby Berge and they call Chuck Burge. It's like a big competition between the two of those guys. He played with Blue Oyster Cult, Brand X, Hall & Oates, and Rainbow, as we talked about. He was the counterpart to David Rosenthal in Rainbow. We also have Mark Canese on drums and Simmons drums. So they're really playing up the Simmons brand. And he did some technical work on the Battle Rages On. So playing the Simmons drums. So you're going to be hearing some early 80s electronic drums, which, if you'd asked me as a teenager, I'd have been like, ew, gross, electronic drums. It's not real. I would have said all that stupid stuff. But now I've really grown to really appreciate electronic drums. In places, obviously. On saxophone, we've got Charlie Deschant, who played also with Hall & Oates. On percussion and on technical, we've got Nick Blagona, who passed away just right early on this year in January. He did technical work for Deep Purple, Rainbow, worked on everything through Battle Rages On with Deep Purple. So he was, kind of a technical engineer kind of guy. Then we have on backing vocals Craig Brooks, who had worked with Michael Bolton, and then Kate McGarrigle. You know Kate McGarrigle?
No, I'm sorry. It's the way you said it was funny. No.
Do you know Kate McGarrigle? Kate McGarrigle is the mother of Rufus and Martha Wainwright, and the only reason I know her so well, and she's like a famous folk singer. She did stuff with her sister Anna, and she passed away, 5 or 6 years ago. The reason I know her is because she one of the Christmas albums we always go to is the I don't even remember what the name of it is, but we listened to it's one of our probably most played Christmas albums. I'm gonna look it up now. Kate and Anna McGarrigle Christmas album. It's the McGarrigle Christmas Hour, of course. So they did this album with Martha Wainwright, Rufus Wainwright, and Emmylou Harris is on it. I think Lou Reed is on it. Um, lots of different people are on this album, and we had gone to see them when the album first came out. We went to go see them when we lived in New York at Carnegie Hall, and it was one of the most incredible like concerts I've ever seen. And Rufus Wainwright stood there on the stage and sang "Oh Holy Night" a cappella with no amplification, like just in Carnegie Hall with just because I don't know if you how familiar you are with Rufus Wainwright, but his voice is like the power in his voice is absolutely incredible. And he's got like that mid. He's like he's got this really like you can pick him out, and we're always joking because we listen to the album and you can just hear this voice cutting through everything else because he's got this really like mid-range, like you can just hear him just cutting through all the vocals. But yeah, he sang that live and it was incredible. So of course I think it was like probably the next day that went out and got the album because it had just come out, and it's a staple in our house around the Christmas time. So Kate McGarrigle on vocals. Two other backing vocalists, Denise Brooks and Kim Romano. And that brings us to the album art. And unfortunately, I don't really have a great scan of this album art, so it's a little drab looking, but this basically looks a little bit, I'm looking at my CD here, pops a little bit more in the CD, but it's a very like, I don't even know what the right term to call it is. When you look at the CD, it's a little more clear, but it looks like computer graphics.
Mhm.
It looks like kind of like a Max Headroom kind of look. And it's this mask that is what if it's 4x, so 16 of these masks in all different colors, just in squares on the cover. It just says Roger Glover mask. It's pretty nondescript. What do you think about this cover?
Well, yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, I guess you could say it's pretty nondescript, but I don't know. There's something to it. Maybe it's like the repetitiveness of one image being all different colors, and then like the motion of like the lines going diagonally down. It's actually kind of cool. I mean, it sticks out a little bit. I wouldn't say it's my favorite album cover, but I think it's definitely eye catching. Like I think that's something that, you know, if you flip through the record collection, you just would be like, oh, what's this?
It looks kind of like, it reminds
But
me like it would be like world music or something, the way that it looks with all those masks.
yeah, yeah, because it kind of looks like almost like an African mask or something like that.
Yeah.
Or
But yeah,
like tribal mask, or right.
yeah, and I
I
read
don't know.
something.
That seems to be what it looks like, or what it's trying to look like.
I read something about what this mask was, and now of course I can't find it, but I thought I had written it down. Um, but yeah, so this was the art direction on this was by Bill Levy, who actually did some visual work for Jesus Christ Superstar and the Rainbow Down to Earth album. And then the art direction by Peter Corriston, who did album covers for Cheech and Chong, Jay Giles Band's Hotline, Led Zeppelin 3, and our good friend Scott Haskins' Uriah Heep's Sweet Freedom album. So there's a connection there. And it says Roger Glover also did some of the inner sleeve artwork, and Rhonda Epstein did some editing on this. And here's a good connection. She worked on the album cover for Wendy Carlos, who is like this. Oh, funny! I got my Moog T-shirt on. She did like a lot of Moog synthesizer work, and she did an album with Weird Al, and she did the cover of that. That's one that we used to listen to as kids. It's pretty good. And then the back cover photography by Brian Hajawara. He did work for Free, Billy Joel, Alice Cooper, and Steppenwolf. So that's the front cover. The back cover has got Roger Glover's face with like they're like projecting I don't know, like some weird sort of 80s looking pattern on him.
Looks like a video game.
Yeah,
looks like
yeah,
asteroids, asteroids or something.
Yeah, so they're making this projection. I don't know what's on. Is he wearing like weird glasses? I don't know what's going on in his face there.
It looks like that It looks like those glasses that drop down, like in those videos, like where it drops down like that with the
and the
when
blunt comes
somebody's
when somebody's like really cool, and the blunt comes flying into their mouth. Yep, yep.
yeah. What are those called? Those like I can't remember what they're called, but you know what I'm talking about,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I
Like
don't know what
those
you
kind of
call that.
square glasses come down. That genre of meme or whatever that was popular for a minute. But yeah, this looks like Roger
Oh, it's
Glover's trying to be like ultra modern,
I looked it up, and
like for the time.
it's called the Thug Life glasses.
Thug Life, that was it.
Yeah.
Sounds Roger Glover trying to be Thug Life, except
He
the
invented
one on
Thug
his
Life.
right eye, it missed it.
Yeah, I
It
don't know
looks
what
like it.
I can't tell what that
But this
is.
looks like he's trying to be like, but it looks like he's just trying to like with the like you were talking about how the front had a max headroom type of thing, which is funny. I haven't thought about that for like 30 something odd years. But it looks like he's trying to be like ultra modern 80s on the back with that kind of like, video game stuff projected on him and everything, like very different from the kind of, hippie grassroots rock and roll type thing that, was happening in the early 70s. Like you remember with the long hair and the big floppy hat and everything. And now this is just kind of like, techno Glover,
Right, yeah, it's that early like 80s video, like we're in a video age, that sort
Yeah.
of like kind of weird
Yeah.
aesthetic that was pretty common back then. Um, but yeah, it's an interesting
Pretty
back
cool
cover. And
though.
in fact, Rich already, our good friend Rich already sent us did he send it to you, or is it just me? I can't keep
Yeah. No.
between talking to both of us and then talking to us each individually, trying to pit us against each other. I can't keep track of what he's doing, but he didn't send it to you. So he he sent me a photoshopped image of this earlier, which I'll send to you. Um, this is like a new segment on the show that we do regularly, which is sending photoshopped images of that Rich has sent us to each other. But yeah, he just sent that to me before the show. So did you get it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you get it?
That
And
was
then the
the one
next question is, do you get it?
yes, that's the one that he sent to me. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So
Rocky Dennis.
he sent Eric Stoltz from the movie Mask. It's superimposed over Roger Glover's head on the back cover. That's great. Um, and Rich, you used like a photo, there's a watermark on this image from where you downloaded it. I'll have to send him this one so he can do an updated version for us. But yeah, so that's the back cover. There's a little insert that comes along with it, which is pictures of that mask, along with pictures of Roger. It looks like a nice, cute picture of Roger Glover with his daughter at the bottom there. Pictures of him from his Deep Purple days up in the top right. Pictures from him on vacation, maybe at the top. Picture of him looking kind of like
yeah, it looks like it.
kind of like a picture of him from his rainbow days with his his white fedora and his blazer. So so it's just alternating pictures of him and like various masks.
Right.
There
Right.
you go.
So yeah, pictures of him through the years. Like there's one of him there. He looks like John Lennon.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
The one at the bottom.
This one right here.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yep. But yeah, it looks like yeah, I mean it looks like if nothing else, it looks like some thought went into it.
Yeah.
So I like that. Looking at this, you're just kind of like, okay, I have no idea what to expect. That's the thing with I think the Roger Glover solo albums is like you look at the covers. Like when we like bought the like albums back in the day, like a lot of us would just buy them based on how cool the cover was. You didn't know what the music was like, or you heard one song and you were hoping the whole song was like that. You look at any of his solo albums and you're like, I have no idea like what kind of music is going to be on this.
Right.
And I mean, it's kind of true. He's like a chameleon. He would just do like so much different styles, so many different styles and everything. And he could, and it's just like, all right, what's on this one? So, that being said, I'm kind of looking forward to it. I'm like hoping that I feel like based on your description of it, I hope that I like it because I feel like this is going to be in my wheelhouse of like 80s pop that I
Yeah, and
enjoy.
that's
So,
what I said. Like 80s, that early 80s pop stuff, like did nothing for me as a teenager, and it like I really like it a lot more now. I still don't like that mid 80s, as we've talked about, that mid 80s rock sound, the sound of the cheesy keyboard sounds, the drum production. That stuff usually really just still does not resonate with me. But this stuff, like I appreciated what I appreciated about the 80s was some of the cool synth stuff and some of the pop stuff they were doing, but like the stuff that was like trying to be rock but sounded really like, I don't even know what the right word is, but that drum, that drum sound that I just don't like. Yeah, I'm not coming up with good words, but that stuff never really never grabbed me. But yeah, and in this, you're hearing Roger Glover take some chances. He's handling the lead vocals, which he doesn't often do, and he's not an Ian Gillan or a Glenn Hughes or a David Coverdale, but he's got a very a voice that's suited well for this style of music. So another interesting note is one of the engineers, Mike Barry, worked with Fandango, the JLT version of Fandango, not the Nick Simper Fandango. Yeah. And then what else we got here? We have, well, can't find it. Never mind. So, oh yeah. Oh no, that's what it is. I was going to bring up, this is just the cover that we already showed of the CD that I have, which combines the back cover of Mask, the front cover of Mask, and Elements all kind of in one. So you've got Elements in the center. It looks very similar to the Mask logo, but instead of like a 4x4 cube, it's a 3x3, and then you've got like some random masks down there. So it's a good blend of the two. But yeah, that's the $125 version of the.
Yeah, a little more Mask heavy.
A little more, yeah. Okay. So should we break out this record and see what it's all about?
Sure.
I'm always waiting for your super enthusiastic consent, and I just got it. Sure.
Why not? Yeah.
One of these days,
yeah. Well, I think everything's very like.
You're gonna say no.
No, I'm not ready for the tracks.
No,
turn it off.
Close it up.
I think everything's very like mask related lately. We had Hughes Thrall with the masks on the front cover, Roger Glover, the Mask, and everything's mask dominated these days.
We did Difficult to Cure.
Right.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of Mask related albums. So are there any more? You'll have to tell us. Send us a message or an email if there's any other Mask related albums, specifically Deep Purple related as well, so we can cover those as well.
So we can cover them before the pandemic is over.
All right. Here's much, which should give us plenty of time, sadly. All right. First track up is the opening track on side 1, Divided World. Nice, really atmospheric synth sounding, some good stereo.
I'm already liking it.
That little don 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 with the piano and the bass matching each other. You see what I'm saying about the Duran Duran feeling?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I feel pretty confident that I've never heard this. I probably tuned out the whole thing before I even got to this when I originally bought the CD.
But it's really interesting.
I'm pretty
to
sure
hear...
this is exactly what I didn't want to hear. Like,
yeah,
at the time.
exactly. This is not what I
like...
wanted to hear in whatever 1990. When did this come out? 1993. Yeah, this would not have been for me in 1993. I would have been like, no, nope. Man, what was I really into then? I would have been into the other branches of Deep Purple. But it's interesting to hear like him and Hughes could both kind of dip their toes in this sort of genre almost, or it's something that at the time would have been popular. It would have, and they both did it so well, even though it's not their wheelhouse. The drum sound reminds me of like the Police, like. It's still.
Yeah, I was gonna say that kind of has a Police feel to it, too. Like when it started off, that kind of "Don't stand so close to me."
yeah, it does kind of sound like that. Maybe that's what's kicking it in my mind. These little reverse stabs coming in on the right channel.
I feel like the Revenge of the Nerds band could have been playing this.
Was it Poindexter on the violin, on the electric violin?
Yeah, Booger Presley on guitar.
Was his name Presley?
Yeah, because he was dressed up like Elvis for some reason, Fat Elvis.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's right.
No, but all this illustrates is that the music is definitely produced like of the era.
And it's great for him to probably take that departure too, hearing like, you know, he'd been working with, you know, with Rainbow for what, 4 albums at that point, and was probably wanting to try something stylistically a little different. Like that he and Gillan and all the guys in Deep Purple are always have those little outlets on the side. Don't stand. You could do a mashup with this and Don't Stand So Close to Me, actually.
Yeah. This is like very Sting / the Police sounding.
Yeah, it's weird because it like production-wise, it doesn't sound really so much like the Police, but like there's something about the production, the way those drums sound, that conjures it up.
Yeah, but when he's saying divided, so don't stand so, don't stand so. Not saying it's a ripoff at all. It's just what it makes me think of.
Not at all.
You know, and who knows? Maybe he was even going for that. You know, like, hey, I want to write a Police type of song.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, there are you know, plenty of bands that have done that. Like when they, you know, do a breakdown track by track type of thing, and they're like, oh, I was really influenced by this song when I was writing this track, and I was trying to do my take on it. And you know, sometimes it's obvious and sometimes it's not, but
yeah, like you said,
I mean,
it doesn't sound like a what's the word I'm looking for,
like a copy of it.
Yeah,
you know, like you're trying to be a rip off or another version, but you know, still, I mean, also like how many other songs, you know, kind of probably sounded like that from that era.
All right. So, okay, next track up.
Well, we didn't rate it.
Oh yeah, we should probably rate it. That's probably we should. Okay, so I mean, I guess the obvious thing is just giving it the rating system as masks, but that's kind of boring. What should we? Thug Life Sunglasses.
I was, well, I was gonna say how many like little asteroid shooters, or like, I don't know, what do you call those things? You know, that thing that looked like it was on this side of his face.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We could say masks. I don't know what, because I don't know what they say. How many little asteroid things?
How many?
How many? How many Atari controllers should I give this?
That works.
Divided world. Divided world. Yeah, you're just trying to like rush through this episode. All right, come on, let's go. Let's go.
I know we're showing that we're tired. Okay.
All right, so divided world. I give it a 3.5.
Oh my goodness, what was that?
I dropped my phone.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Well, this is a mess. 3.5.
Well, you've been up since
Atari controllers.
It's late at night. John's been up since like 4 a.m. working a 12-hour shift. My day has been better, but not by a lot. So we're gonna be dropping things. We're gonna be messing things up. We're gonna be forgetting to rate songs.
Trying to forget. All right, the next track. Wait.
But the show must go on. We have to get those shows out. You know, so they're not always gonna be pretty.
Yeah, this is the quality content that you are paying for.
I'm gonna give this one a 3.5 as well. I really dig the. I think it's a good, strong opener. The only thing I'd say is it's like it's over 5 minutes long. Maybe it's like 5:14 long. So, you know, for what it is, I love that instrumental part of the beginning. I love the keyboard intro. Yeah, really good song. I like things that conjure up an era for you, but also sound new. So you could see a band nowadays releasing this exact album trying to go for that retro sound. But it's also fun to find an album, like a lost album from like the 70s of some killer rock band, or maybe a band, but you just for some reason didn't really like. Actually, you know what it reminds me of? I was huge into Black Sabbath, and I got I got the first 6 albums, and I was huge into them. I love them. And for years, I wouldn't touch Technical Ecstasy or Never Say Die because what did everyone say? Oh, those albums are terrible. Technical Ecstasy sucks, blah, blah, blah. So I just never bothered. I was like, well, I love these albums. I'm not even going to try. So it probably wasn't until 10, 15 years later that I was just like, you know what? I'm going to listen to Technical Ecstasy. And I listened to it and I'm like, this album's awesome. What was everyone talking about? And then I got to basically have this little snapshot from that time that was like new to me, but it was true of its era, and it was great. And that's kind of how I feel about this album, rediscovering it maybe a year or two ago. Is it's of that time. I grew up with this kind of music, but it's something that you don't ever hear on the radio, so it's kind of got that fresh sound to it. So all right, the next song up is called Getting Stranger. But is it getting stranger? Well, we'll have to see for ourselves. One thing I forgot about this album is the vocals are mixed very low. Like I feel like it could be more up front in the mix.
Well, I mean, that could. Well, how did Roger Glover feel about his own vocals?
I mean, I've seen like that's the only thing I could come up with. I've seen interviews with him where he's not the world's most confident singer, or isn't crazy about his own voice, so maybe he's intentionally mixing.
Could be that.
Low.
I mean, he's good.
Yeah, and he doesn't. I mean, working with the singers that he's worked with over the years, how could you possibly feel confident about your voice? You know, he doesn't have the power of a Gillan, but I like his singing on this album.
Yeah, but like, just don't compare him to anybody else I mean, as a singer, he's good. I mean, of course, if he's going to place himself next to like Gillan and
Dio,
JLT and Dio and Graham Bonnet and everything, of course he's going to be like, oh, I suck. I mean, I would.
Well, of course. I think it was on Elements where he was really trying to not have any guitar, like with very, very, very little guitar in Elements. And in this one, it sounds like he was trying to make kind of a conscious effort to make sure that it wasn't guitar focused.
Just really focusing on the vocals. It's just like really reminds me of someone or something, and it's not. I know I'll probably remember later, but
I'll get the 2 a.m. after show text. It's a honky tonk man again. Always strikes. I like all the different synths he's using on this song too.
He's got a little distorted guitar in the back too.
Yep, ever so subtle. But it's so like more atmospheric. You don't, it doesn't jump out at you.
Like, I feel like that this song could be like in the montage of like a B-movie romance montage. Yep.
Some little tasty Roger Glover bass fills in the background there. But it's also great having somebody like Glover, who's such a great producer, great enough to not have, even though he's a bass player and that's what he's playing, to do it very tastefully and have it in the background, not be just raising the bass all the way up in the mix. And he's obviously got a ton of experience. So, all right, Getting Stranger. What would you say about that song?
3.5.
3.5 again.
Masks. What are we doing? We'll just change it.
Wooden tribal masks.
Yeah. Another another thing that struck me that I didn't say in the beginning was just the way that the drums came in, like the kind of the drum fill, the way it came in was just like super 80s sounding, which I say in the best of ways. I really like it. It's like, all right, you know where this is coming from.
Yep.
But I mean, and I like how he kind of, his vocals kind of, he did like a little bit of a higher register, not really a falsetto, but you know what I mean? Yeah. He's
probably hitting a falsetto there.
Yeah, he did something a little bit different than, he did in the first song. Like it sounded like he, took a chance.
Yep.
Mixed it up a little bit, but yeah, really kind of catchy. And like I said, it's kind of got that mid-tempo type thing that you would hear in like a montage in like a B movie. You see the two 80s high schoolers going out on a date, going to the arcade.
It always comes back to like the Karate Kid, Elizabeth Shue date montage.
Actually, that's what I was thinking of. Just watch that and like put this music over it. But I mean, there are a ton of movies that had like the same thing,
No, maybe it would be like the Getting Stranger, like it would be like the trying on clothes montage.
There you go, the trying on clothes montage.
With our good friend and co-host Paul, you the three of us recorded a. In fact, we'll have to wait for that episode. But we were one day, 25 years ago or something, we were listening to Gillan Gillan and Glover, remember the Accidentally on Purpose album?
Yeah.
We were listening to it and we were like, oh, this sounds like something from an 80s movie. So the three of us filmed it, and I've got the video. We filmed the video of us doing like one of those montages from a movie, like the trying on the clothes and doing things. And like I was doing something, you and Paul were like shaking your head, and we were doing, and then you were like nodding when I had the right thing on. And then we were doing like dance moves and stuff.
I don't remember that.
So yeah, I'll have to make a note when we get to that episode. We'll have to dig out that video so we can play it at the end of the show.
I don't remember doing that.
Oh, but I'll have to send. Did I put it on YouTube? Probably not. I'll have to find it and send it to you. Yes, Getting Stranger. I will also give it a 3.5. I think it's I think this album creates so far creating a really, really good mood. It's, it's not super upbeat. It's not super downbeat. Like Elements is very like downbeat and kind of like serious, almost Pink Floyd-ish in times. And this one is not super upbeat, but it's kind of just plugs along. It's nice. I like to put this one on the background sometimes. It's just a really nice, fun listen. So next up, we have the Titular the Mask. I wonder if they're hitting one of those wooden masks to make that sound. Roger Glover's hitting some little harmonics there on the bass. Nice. I like that, Roger. This song's 7.5 minutes long.
Holy cow. Sounds like we could dance if we want to. Kind of reminding me of that. Yep. So I feel like this is like a Gillan Glover track too. Like Gillan could have sung this in his lower register.
Yep.
Because I feel like he did something like this on the Gillan Glover album. Oh, Tribal Mask, see?
Yeah. So they must have had... This was released as a single, so obviously it had to have been edited down from 7 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
There's a video for this song, and that's got to be shorter as well.
This definitely has safety dance vibes to it.
It does, right?
Yeah, especially the chorus. See, little things like that is what sets him apart from like a regular kind of 80s pop guy, because you won't find that. You know what I mean? You won't find that in those songs, like little touches like that. This is like, thinking man's 80s pop.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's like it's taking that kind of... Oh, nice little tasty little run there on the bass. But it's taking like these elements that are being looped, and there's kind of like drum machines and stuff, but yet something like the bass is being played more live, and you're getting those little fills and things.
I'm really enjoying this. Really good.
Can you imagine like getting this album and Perfect Strangers at the same time and just being like, how is this the same guy?
I know.
I mean, he's, on Perfect Strangers, he's going to be, Roger Glover was one of the principal songwriters. He's the arrangement guy, a lot of lyrics. I mean, that's what's so great about him. He can morph between all these different styles so well. Yeah, there's no way they're playing this like 2.5-minute instrumental part on the radio. I wonder how much airplay it got. I mean, I wouldn't have been paying any attention back then to know whether or not it was on the radio.
Now, really echoey, like electronic drum sound, is that the Simmons drums? Or is that just, whoa. I wouldn't know how to,
They're
tell it
actual
apart.
drums.
Well, either way, I like the drum sound that he got, whether it's like a drum machine or an electronic drum or like just the way that it was mic'd. It's just very, very appropriate for the album, you know?
Yep, for sure.
Because it suits like I feel like this sound suits the like a keyboard music, like keyboard pop music like this.
This is the one of only 3 songs on the album that were co-written. This was written by Glover and Roussel. Hopefully I'm pronouncing the name wrong. Jean Roussel or Jean Roussel?
Oui.
Glover says, actually he wrote something about this recently, back in July, on his website.
Oh yeah?
He says, from the album Mask, this song was written while Carlin Hart was driving me to the studio near Montreal. Rainbow had recently recorded there, and Nick Lagona, the resident sound engineer, having seen some of my poetry, encouraged me to do a solo album. At first I demurred, but he offered me 4 days of studio time on the understanding that only if something came of it, I would have to pay them. I took with me a few guitars, a sequencer, drum machine, and some half-baked ideas. It became obvious that I needed help, so Nick introduced me to 2 local musicians, Joe Jammer on guitar and Jean Roussel on keyboards, who played on a couple of tracks. Eventually, I completed the album in New York. I couldn't quite believe that the record company then offered to make a video. It was at the time MTV was huge, so I wrote the storyboard for it. Colin Hart and I flew to Los Angeles, where I met some great people who helped make the video. Shot in 2 locations, the swimming pool of a house overlooking the city, and then at a wild animal training park a couple of hours from LA. I spent an amazing 4 days pretending that I was a film star. As you know, that fantasy didn't last long, but the memory has.
That's all that matters.
There you go. I forgot I had... And he's got a little link on his website to the video. This is the part where it sounds like everybody has assumed that the song would have faded out by now, so they're all going for broke.
Yeah. Yeah, I could definitely see if this was chopped up a little bit. There are a couple of like instrumental sections where, you know, it was a little, you know, there was some repetitive stuff in there that didn't really build, but I mean, it just kind of built a little bit, and then it went back to the verse or whatever, and then that obviously that outro. I bet, you know, if they chopped off those 3 things, they could have easily gotten that down to a few minutes.
Yeah.
And then it would have been like catchy. Although I don't know, I'm actually for the longer version. Like that's you know, maybe that's the club mix.
Yeah, and it may, you know, it's like I said, it's similar to Elements. This whole album sets a mood. It's not a hard rocker, and that's not what you're. If you go into that with if that's what you're expecting, you're gonna be disappointed. But it's
Right.
It's not going for that, obviously. So what do you give The Mask?
I give The Mask 4 masks.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Usually I wouldn't give a like a song. I guess you would say this want to say like rambling, like it's a bad thing, but you know, a couple of sections like that were long, and you could think like, okay, this could get cut out, or even like the long outro or whatever. But I don't know. It's like you said, it's one of those things that you put it on in the background, so you just kind of like, you know, bopping your head along and just listening to it, and just driving along and listening to it. And so I think it's kind of enjoyable, and I think it's really the chorus is really like really catchy. I like the chorus a lot. Yeah, I think it's good.
We're lockstep so far. I'm giving it a 4 as well. I really dig it, and just the bass playing a like that.
Yeah,
you know, very simple thing, but that it's that stuff that really
it made
really
it
makes
different.
a song like this. Like if they had just, if it was all cut and paste and looped, it would have sounded that can. Not that I have any problem with that whatsoever, but sometimes it can make a song sound a little more inorganic, whereas you might have looped drums or looped synthesizer patch or whatever it is, but then throwing in those little more acoustic instruments that are having those variations really makes it interesting. All right. Well, if you're not excited for the final song on side 1, you're gonna have to fake it, because this song is called Fake It.
Oh, kind of a reggae thing a little bit.
Roger Glover's on Island Time, man. Sorry.
Wah wah.
Now sounding really if it picks up like double time for the chorus, it's gonna be Total Police song. It's such a chill song. I would love to talk to Roger and see, like, were you listening to a lot of Police before you did The Mask?
You know what this makes me think of too? It makes me think of like, makes me think of like a bar band.
Yeah.
Because I was my friend that lived now down in Newport. There was a band over the past like year and a half, or I'm sorry, year, that he always liked to see down the bars and everything. And they were like a cover band, and they did all sorts of like past hits and stuff. But they would, like, you know how bar bands are, they would do like, you know, always do like like a lot of reggae versions of songs, or like put that spin on it. And this makes me think of that, which is, you know, a really good way to get people riled up and, you know, just kind of moving. Remember them doing a cover version of I want to say, is it the Backstreet Boys? I Want It That Way, but like kind of like in this style, which was actually really good.
Yeah, I bet. Tasty little guitar solo there.
By what's his name? Rod Jammer?
Joe Jammer?
Rod.
I think Rod Jammer is in a different profession. Well, it could be, because there's two guitarists, so it's either Dave Gellis or Jealous, or probably not Jealous, probably Gellis. or Joe Jammer?
Rod Jammer.
I'm digging that nice clean tone on his guitar too.
Yeah, it's in keeping with the mood of the song. You don't want something overly distorted in there.
All right. Now we got to really find out if that's Joe Jammer or not. I don't know how to find that out. That's what I liked about the Megadeth albums. They would tell you in the lyrics of like solo, and then it would say like, which guitar player was playing the solo. I feel like more bands should do that.
I think Judas Priest did that too. In their liner notes,
especially for a 2-guitar band, you got to know.
Yeah.
Some bands had the rhythm guitarist and the lead guitarist, but like with a band like Megadeth, it's like, I mean, listening to it now, I'm like, it's very clear to tell who's playing which one.
Yeah.
Marty Friedman and David Mustaine have very different styles, but if it's a band you're not familiar with, it's nice to know. But anyway, what do you think about Fake It, John? Don't fake it. Give me the real stuff. Give me the straight poop.
Well, despite everything that I was saying about this style of music being like bar band type of stuff, I'm gonna give it a 3. I feel like I would like a song like this more in a live setting.
Mm-hmm.
If I was, if it was the middle of summer, I was at a bar, beachfront, something like that.
If you had a drink with an umbrella in it.
Yeah, one of those type of things. I'm not really into listening to this type of stuff as this style of music on my own or just sitting around or whatever. Actually, the whole kind of like reggae beat or style kind of turns me off most times. But like I said, if it's in a live setting or if it's in like a bar setting, then catch me in the right mood, I'll like it. But I just thought it was kind of average cut on the album. Maybe a filler. I guess you can call it a filler track. Or I would.
I'll give it a 3.5. I liked it quite a bit, but yeah, I see how it's kind of it seems like something that's more background sort of stuff. But that being said, I really enjoyed it, and I don't think I mentioned it, but that is a Roger Glover solo work, which takes us to side 2, where we get a Glover Gillis, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right, a Glover Gillis song called Dancing Again to start off the second side. Here we go. Now it's like, now I'm hearing Hughes Thrall.
I know I got your number.
Oh, I got your number.
I'm sorry, I just thought of something else.
What?
Dare to be stupid, dare to be stupid.
That is high praise for me, because
yeah, exactly. I think that's an awesome song. So it's like I love
the
comparisons to other 80s songs that I'm finding within these.
Yeah, I mean, I would give Dare to be Stupid a 5. I gotta be honest.
No, so would I.
As you all know, I do love somebody riding the bell on the ride cymbal.
Yep. Woo! There we go.
Face melter. Ooh, that's nice.
Whoa.
Damn.
He's just letting him rip. Joe
Somebody
Jammer.
stop Joe Jammer. He's going crazy.
He lived up to his name. He jammed out.
He sure did.
Joe Jammer jammed. Watch it be somebody else.
Or Dave Gellis. It could be Gellis because he co-wrote the song, so. He co-wrote it because he wanted to play a face melter in there.
Oh, yeah.
Well, whoever played it did a damn good job. It was a great solo.
Yeah, and it was extended, too. You know, it was very like, you know what? I'm just going to let it go longer than it should.
Oh.
Oh. Oh, we're getting the sax, too?
Wait a second, I gotta go back in my notes. Where's the saxophone? Oh, saxophone, Charlie Dencha. This is the Hall & Oates sax player, that's why.
Gotta feature that guy.
Of course. Too bad G.E. Smith couldn't make it for this album. Of course, our good friend Terry T-Bone Mathley might know this saxophone player because he used to work for Hall & Oates.
Wow.
I'll have to ask him. Dancing again. Well, definitely a mood change for side 2.
Yeah, right? That's a way to open it up. That's a way to open up a side, Roger.
Yeah, a guitar minute song. 3.5 minute song. You've got a guitar solo and a sax solo. Like, so that it's kind of showing you a little bit. You've got the track the album opener rather, you know, is 5 minutes plus, and you know, good song, but you know, maybe we thought maybe it was a little long. And the same thing with the Mask, although we both really liked it. You know, definitely not radio friendly. And then you've got and neither one of those, or well, at least the first song didn't have any sort of solos. The Mask had some instrumental breaks, but not really solos. Then you got this song that crams it all in and really good. So what do you say of Dancing Again?
I'm dancing over to a 4.5.
Holy moly.
Come on, you know why.
The guitar solo?
No, Face Melter solo. Yeah, that's what put it over the edge. I mean, not only that, it was fast paced. It was catchy. Obviously made me think of a great Weird Al song. And then like 2 Face Melter solos. I mean, come on, you had the guitar and then you had the sax. So, and I mean, again, another catchy chorus too. So, I mean, that's what really makes it. I mean, yeah, I think it was really good. You know, this probably should have been like, I'm glad it was an opener on a side. Could have been an opener for the album. Like that would have been a great album opener.
Yeah.
You know, like we drew that comparison to I Got Your Number from Hughes Thrall, like had that same kind of energy to it, you know. So it's but you know, opening a side with it, still a good move.
Awesome. I will give it a 4 for all the reasons. I will give it the 4-step for all the reasons that you just outlined. Fantastic. Great solo. Surprising solo. Just kind of busted into some territory I wasn't really expecting from the song, and really, really good stuff. Whoever the guitar player was, I'm assuming it's Gellis. Awesome job.
Yeah.
Okay, the next song is You're So Remote, but your is in parentheses. Why? I don't know. Actually, where am I getting that from? Because it doesn't say that on... It doesn't say that on the CD. So maybe I just, when I was getting the track list off of... Yeah, on Wikipedia, it says You're So Remote, and the your is in parentheses. Just one of those weird album things with weird things in parentheses for no reason. So
yeah.
Oh, well, here we go. You're So Remote. And this is written by Glover Solo.
Like the soundtrack to Lethal Weapon.
Yeah.
I'm too old for this shit.
Some more of the little kind of like reggae vibe going to it. Nope, there's the McGarrigle. I can recognize that voice. This is reminding me of a song too, and I'm like, I hate to play the game of just constantly being reminded of things, but I think it's the Police again. Can't get off of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's because you know, they, you know, it like I had read or heard something a while ago that Sting based a lot of his vocal inflections on reggae musicians, and or was influenced by them. So I mean, it's not surprising that like something that mainstream would make you think, or would make one think of, like, oh, that's reggae sounding. That sounds like the Police. But I mean, given the time that it was made as well,
time, and the production at that time. And...
yeah. But this is definitely a little out there, this part. From that, I mean.
And it's got to be Chuck Burgess playing too. That really. It's like sexy saxophone playing. Picture like Nighttime in the City, like one of those like manholes with the steam coming out of it. This guy comes in out of nowhere and starts playing.
Oh yeah, no way a sax solo can't be sexy.
No, it's impossible. Have you seen that guy that goes around and he plays the sax the sax solo from Careless Whisper? Like in public, like he just goes into a restaurant, he jumps on the table and starts playing it, and like he just basically plays it until the security escorts him out. It's awesome. Oh. He goes into the food cart at the mall and just starts playing it. It's so good. Oh. You know, the only time I've ever been to Jamaica, the place we stayed, they just literally played Bob Marley 100% of the time we were there. You went to the pool, you went to the bar, they were just playing Bob Marley. And it wasn't even like Bob Marley deep cuts. It was just like Bob Marley Legend on loop the entire time. But it would have been nice to hear some kind of like, not that Roger Glover's an authentic Jamaican musician, but it would have been nice to hear some, even somebody that wasn't Bob Marley, let alone a Bob Marley deep cut. The guy had like probably, 20 albums, and they played his greatest hits all the time. Probably because they just thought we were dumb Americans and that's all we knew, and they're mostly right, I'm sure.
Man, I would hate that. I would kill myself.
I mean, it created the mood, right? I mean, you were there, you were in Jamaica, you're like, oh, it feels like what it should be like.
Yeah, but I mean, that's creating the mood if you're just like passing through. If you're there for like several days and that's all you're hearing, you're going to want to hang yourself.
Yeah, we were there for like a long week. It was for a friend's wedding. We were there for like a long weekend, but it's like, do you guys have any Peter Tosh or something that's like super close to Bob Marley? Just like anything? Like, or a Bob Marley album, like, you know, like an album that isn't his greatest hits album.
I mean,
like, it's like, yeah, I get it. No Woman, No Cry Again. We get it.
I mean, I feel like there's a threshold for that kind of thing. Like, I mean, I've never been on the Kiss cruise, but I know plenty of people that have, and I've heard more than once that for 5 days, it's like, it's just Kiss everywhere.
Yeah, like in the
you know?
lobby, in the hallway, in the
Yeah, in the
elevators,
lobby.
in your room.
Yeah, right. It's like the elevator music is lick it up. You're walking down the hallway, it's lick it up. You know, you go to the buffet, it's I was made for loving you. It's like, okay, like
Shouldn't that be
heaven's
Lick It
on
Up?
fire. Like,
You think Lick It Up would be better for the buffet?
yeah, lick it up is for the buffet, right? And you're taking the elevator going down, heaven's on fire. I don't know. But the point is that I feel like, there are some people that are just like, yeah, sometimes it gets to be a little too much. Like even the biggest Kiss fans are just I think sometimes it's just too much. I'm trying to like take a crap and all I can hear is Kiss, in the bathroom. And it's like, like I can't go for that kind of thing. Like going to a place and they're playing just the thing of that place. It's like, do something else. Like, I mean, I get it. Like the whole event is centered around like whatever, the theme is, but it's like sometimes maybe vary a little if you're going to be there for a few days.
I have some deep cuts. Yeah, exactly. It's like,
right.
Yeah. It's like when you, like around the holidays, we, not the holidays, but around Halloween, we put on like the Halloween playlist from Spotify. And it's like, there aren't that many. There's the Monster Mash, obviously, is like the first song. And it's like that gets old real fast. And then after that, there's like maybe the Ghostbusters, and sometimes I feel like somebody's watching me. And then it starts to get, and then it's like the Addams Family theme song, and then it starts to get really like every song. Like there's so many songs that are called like Monster, so they'll be like, here's a song called Monster by some band, nothing to do with anything scary. It's just about like whatever. And then all of these like really like, oh, this song mentions a ghost in one of the lines. Well, so you listen to the song, you're like, how does this have anything to do with Halloween? Like, oh, in verse 3, they said something about a ghost. I was like,
they start to reach. Yeah.
Oh, one of the ones they played is No Doubt Spider Webs. Like a bit of a stretch to say that that's a Halloween song,
Oh my goodness.
It's about being on a telephone. But spider webs, kind of creepy, right? You see those in haunted houses? Print it, put it in the playlist. Let's do this. All right. So what do you think about You're So Remote?
I give it a 3. I feel like it was not really my thing. Like you had the kind of reggae beat going again. I mean, I'm giving credit for doing something a little bit different with the female vocalist, going into the chorus. It was a little, I guess, avant-garde, maybe trying to be a little different, but yeah. I kind of like the catchier stuff on this album better. Like I mean, I totally, know and love and respect Roger Glover experimenting and doing something different, and like he's totally being experimental, but this one I feel didn't really work out as much, didn't jump out as much. I like the catchier stuff.
I will also give it a 3. I like it. I like this whole album. I would like to listen to this album on the beach with my toes in the sand, drinking well, I don't like tropical drinks really much. Well, I'll have a tropical drink just because it's this album. But I'd like to have a Jamaica do-over with like an album like this or some other albums, and just I think it's a really good like background. But yeah, like I wouldn't be, not that everything has to be up tempo and like this like fast pace, but like I can't imagine like listening to this in the car.
Right.
It just wouldn't happen. But to create a mood, if it was on the background in a certain situation, definitely good stuff. Okay, next up we have. I look like I startled you.
What was that? What was that voice?
That was me getting ready for the next track, which is Hip Level. Whoa. For how blood curdling that scream was, the song doesn't hit you in the gut as much as you would think. It's
another long one.
More triangle than you'd think. Yeah, another 7+ minute one. I wonder what this album would be like if he had called, again, not taking anything away from Glover's singing, but his singing is it's good. It's very like kind of plain. And I wonder what would have been like if he called on either a group of his friends, or if he had divvied out tracks to say like Dio and Gillan and Coverdale and all these people, or had one of them take it on.
Coverdale would have been interesting on this.
His vocal delivery is really reminding me of something here. And this is going to drive me crazy as well. I like those little horns. Nice. I almost want to say his vocals kind of reminded me maybe a little of like Peter Gabriel, like Sledgehammer, kind of.
A little bit.
Like the second part of Sledgehammer. Okay, this one was written by Berge, Gellis, and Glover. So this must be another. This has got to be Gellis that's doing these guitar solos, because if he's co-writing, you know, he's sticking in his own solos. He's not giving them to Joe Jammer. Yeah, so Gellis writes with Glover, and he's like, okay, just give me 40 or 50 bars here for a guitar solo in the middle of the song. That's kind of his, I'm getting what his MO is. Starting to sound like the Marty McFly solo at the end of Johnny Be Good movie. You expect him to just be on his back kicking around and
Marty McFly.
But your kids are gonna love it. That has to be like at least 2 straight minutes of guitar solo. It's not Sledgehammer. It's another song, and I'm not gonna think of it like that.
2 a.m. 2 a.m. text.
Yeah,
I got it. Honky Tonk Man. You know, this... The Gillan Glover album makes so much more sense after hearing this now.
Yeah, right?
Knowing
it's
that...
It's like the sequel to this,
knowing
this
that he
album.
was doing this... Yeah, knowing that he was doing this style of music, and then hearing some of the stuff that Gillan did, even though I think he really did anything like solo in the 80s, right? Like, I mean, like this.
No, yeah.
So I could see where like a lot of like Glover's influence and songwriting, I think, came into that album, because before I was just like, man, this is like, oh, Gillan and Glover, man, this is gonna rock. And then it was like
It was like the Purple People
very
Eater.
yeah, it was very, very different from that. Very poppy. But that being said, now I can see where it came from.
And that was just him and Glover like on vacation throwing something together and just having the time of their life.
Yeah.
Was, you know, came together very quickly, which I get the impression this one did as well.
Mm-hmm. That's probably where like the 20-minute guitar solo came from.
Stretch.
Well, nothing. Well, I mean, right? I mean, like when we used to like jam and stuff like that, or like on our own with other people. I mean, it's like if you're just throwing together something quick, or you're doing something, you're not like overthinking it, overproducing it, or you don't have, or a producer, somebody like standing over you saying like, oh, you should do this or cut that, which you never do if you're,
Yeah.
working on your own projects or whatever. Then yeah, you're just like, oh, let's throw in this extended thing, or like, let me do a self-indulgent solo or whatever. And it's like, and that's why I feel like a lot of this stuff comes from, is it's very like, off the cuff, and, not too thought of. Like, I mean, didn't you say that Glover said like this was a bunch of half-baked ideas? Or he went into the studio with a bunch of half-baked ideas, so to speak. So, I mean, I can see that, him just saying like, oh, I got some pieces kicking around, type of thing.
I figured out what song it was that reminded me of Devil Inside by NXS.
What?
Yeah, he's stunned silent.
I'm trying to hear it.
Devil Inside. No. It might just be me.
Isn't that the one that goes
No dirt. Yeah.
right?
It's a devil inside. Devil inside. I don't know. Kind of anticlimactic.
Okay, no, I get it a little bit.
See what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, I should have thought of it when the song was actually going on, but that's hip level. How do you rate hip level? How does one rate hip level?
3 hips.
3 hips. Are any of them prosthetic, or is this like a weird, freaky person with 3 hips?
Yeah, weird 3-hip person.
All right, that's fair.
No, I think that when the other, I think it was the title track, was a little bit on the long side and had some cool parts to it, I liked that. This one, not as much. I definitely had like, good, good, parts to it, good bones to it, whatever you want to say.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe not fully fleshed out. The guitar solo being that long was just a little stretched out.
It was a very long solo.
Yeah, kind of noodling. I think that it was just like, yeah, it didn't really go places. It wasn't as didn't hit me the same way.
Yeah, even from a guy who was in 2 separate bands with Ritchie Blackmore, I think that was a long solo. Maybe if it's one of those things,
doesn't work.
If they were doing it live, and his good solos, both of them were great solos, but if they were doing it live, to that, no problem. But on an album to have a solo, which is like, wow, this is long, and that song was 7+ minutes, 7 minutes and 19 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
It's a long song, and the Mask was just about the same. So yeah, I also give it 3 stars. Um, um, you know, decent, but not. I think a lot of this album could have. Yeah, it's a 40-minute long album on 8 tracks. I think they could have. We're starting to get into the era where albums are getting a little longer. I think if they had pared back both of those longer songs and maybe done a little bit more with them, it could have tightened it up and made it a little bit more engaging. All right, well, John, you look kind of down. Don't look down. I know this is our last song, but don't look down, because it's called Don't Look Down. Actually, I think he's just going to pass out before this album's over. I could hear Coverdale singing this one. Mr. Coverdale, that is.
I'm kind of hearing a little bit of a reggae beat again.
Oh yeah. I like all the busyness going on of that with that synth in the background. Little reverse reverb there.
Yeah, always a fan of that.
But this is kind of something I could. Some of the synth work like you would hear on Butterfly Ball, Behind the Smile sort of thing.
All right, yeah, I can hear that. Good call.
Just replace those mid-70s synths with some mid-80s synths. Tasty.
That was perfect. Tasty. It is.
Oh, look at it.
Well, I mean, his album's almost over. He's like, hey, we got a bass solo in here.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a bass player. I'm doing a solo album. What am I thinking? And belting out those background vocals. That's Don't Look Down. The final track on Mask. What say you, Mr. Mottola?
The final track, I have to look down and give it a 3.
Oh, you're looking sideways. You're looking sideways.
I'm looking. All right, fine. I'll look sideways. Yeah, I'm at this point. I'm just like getting a little fatigue here of like, just kind of sounds like the same song. You know what
Yep.
that, you know,
Hmm.
it's not, that is probably, with all due respect to Roger Glover, my least favorite type of music. One of them, anyways,
Reggae
just because I
is.
think it's just, yeah. I mean, it just is, it's, there are just certain ones where it's just like I just tune out. I'm like, okay, it's one of these. Like
Yeah.
some people are just like, oh, here comes the ballad, or here comes the, whatever your thing is, where you just kind of zone out, or you're like, yeah, this doesn't excite me.
Hmm.
That kind of beat, like, some people like, oh yeah, a shuffle, or like a really fast paced or something. When that, you know, whatever time the reggae beat is comes up, it's just kind of like, meh, kind of feels played out. And I
I
mean,
think.
on this album, this is like what, maybe like the third track that he's done it,
Yeah,
like a song like
if not
that.
more. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like, that kind of song is good. Like, if you mix it up, like, I mean, if
Sure.
you threw that in, and then you're just like, okay, and this song, I'm gonna do it this and then, but little too much for me, for my taste. So, yep.
I will give it a 3.5. I really like the synth work in it. It's reminiscent to me of Behind the Smile, even though it doesn't sound that much like it at all. Just get that, and Behind the Smile is a reggae song. It's got all those upbeats, but you don't, like we've talked about before, like you can do like a standard blues song, but if you jazz it up in such a way that you don't even, your brain doesn't think of it as, oh, blues song, it can be
Yeah.
really good. Like some of those
And
tracks
he
we've heard
did.
on like on Stormbringer and Burn. And then same thing with that. Like you don't think, like you could hear Behind the Smile 50 times before you stop and think, oh, that's kind of a reggae song, because there's so much going on. This one obviously is a little bit more straightforward reggae,
Right.
and you get a lot more of that throughout this album. And I do like what he's doing. Those little off things he's doing with the synths sound really great. But yeah, it fades a little bit into the rest of the album. I think Dancing Again was probably the only track that was like a real standout from the rest as far as being something different. And
Hmm.
while I like this album, a little more very, like something like Butterfly Ball is so varied. It's got all different styles and uh, all different kinds of songwriting all over the place, and they're short, concise songs. This one, the songs are stretched a little bit, and it's kind of keeping to pretty much one style and not really
Hmm.
deviating too much from it. But
Which is fine. I mean, a musician style, or maybe like what a musician or band is going for the theme of an album, or stylistically for an album, is, definitely their choice. And it's fine, but it wouldn't be my first choice
right.
to listen to. But there are definitely, like, a couple of standout tracks on this, so this wouldn't be like an album I would like um listen to the whole thing. But there's some good tracks on here.
And it was thrown together very quickly, and it's very similar story to Elements. He talks about that, about just going into the studio that day, not really having any idea what he was going to be doing, and just kind of writing it out really quick. And that I can kind of almost see the parallels now with Elements, in that it, much like Elements, it creates a mood and a kind of feeling listening to it, and this kind of almost atmospheric feel to it. And while it might have been disappointing to us at the time to go through both of those albums kind of hoping for Butterfly Ball Part 2,
Right.
um some of those things just can't be, that unfortunately will probably never be recreated.
But I mean, that's what I thought, and maybe a lot of other people thought, just based on the fact, with the limited knowledge that we had back then, that, oh, a Roger Glover solo album, like, well, okay, this is going to be just like this, just like, that's what I thought for everybody. Oh, well, is, Ian Gillan solo album, or anybody, is just like, oh, it's going to sound just like Deep Purple, or nope. It's because I guess, at least me, I didn't understand back then, that
Right.
everybody has a lot of different styles, and things they want to experiment with. And And I mean, now it's great. It's fine. I mean, I would rather it be that way. Although it's cool when they get back to their roots. Like, if, if Roger Glover ever released, like, in his career, like, anything that was like similar to Mark II as a solo album, would have been like, oh, that's great. But like, if he kept doing it over and over again, then you'd be like, all right, I just go listen to Mark II then.
Right. And that's it's good to have an outlet for those other sorts of things you're working on.
Yeah.
Because if you came out with an album, it was just basically getting session musicians, like getting a comparable guitar player and singer and drummer and keyboardist to just do more Mark II stuff. Like, what the hell's the point of doing that?
Right. And I mean, we still have the stuff that he did with Rainbow, which was very purple-ish because it was him and Ritchie, and it was a variation on that kind of thing. So I mean, we were satisfied by that.
Yep.
So
yep. Well, there you have it, folks. Roger Glover Mask. It's our last episode before the holidays here. Next week we'll be at you with our Christmas special, our annual Christmas special. Only the second time we've ever done it, but
the second annual
Christmas special for the Deep Purple podcast. So join us then, and we'll be back with some more kind of fun for the new year. But we understand that a lot of people don't. Usually people are traveling and everything. Maybe people are traveling, so maybe our listenership will be even higher during the holidays. Who knows? But people won't be traveling or might not be listening to podcasts as much. So we're putting out a Christmas special and then a fun, goofy New Year special like we did last year. And then we'll be back at you in January with some proper episodes. And what could they
indeed. Well, I don't know. I know that like more than ever, I'm listening to podcasts now. So,
and I mean, we're still working like dogs. So.
Well, that is true.
We're commuting and working 6 days a week and all that sort of stuff. So we're probably, some people, if they're working from home or whatever, they might not maybe be listening as much as they normally would. But at any rate, we'll be back at you. We've made our commitment to get these episodes out to you, and we will do that and just carry right on through the new year.
Boom.
All right. Well, I will talk to you next week, my friend.
You got it.
All right. Later.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Deep Purple podcast. If you like what you hear and would like more episodes in the future, please donate on Patreon to support the show. You can also give us a rating on iTunes to help new people discover the show. You can follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook for show updates. See deeppurplepodcast.com for more details. Thank you for listening.